Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR Update 24 channel. I hope you're having a great day. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up before we dive into today's Young and the Restless update. Daniel denies having feelings for Tessa. She's just a friend. Phyllis isn't buying it whatsoever and persists like only she can. Daniel decides to leave, but she stops him by bluffing that Danny told her it was true. Phyllis YNR Daniel informs his mother that Tessa loves her wife. Phyllis mocks him for going with her and cheering her on like a chump. Daniel corrects, a friend. Phyllis warns that unrequited love is a special kind of hell when you're in love with someone who's in love with someone else. Daniel cringes that she's such an expert on that subject that she went down that hellhole twice. Unrelenting, Phyllis urges her son to let Tessa lean on Sharon. He insists he's good, but Phyllis keeps issuing warnings. Daniel YNR will they hit enter? At Newman Media, Nick and Chelsea listen as Adam reads the article about Kane and Colin out loud. Nick finds it a little flowery and dark. It will go live once Victor approves it. Chelsea worries about Kane's retribution might look like. They discuss the dangerous AI software, and Chelsea worries Kane can do what he says he can do, and the story may push him over the edge. It could break the family. Nick's not convinced the thing even exists. Besides, Victor is convinced Jill can keep Kane in check. Adam, Chelsea, Nick YNR, after debating Jill's chances for a bit, they circle back to the story. Chelsea frets that Ashby's kids will see this and Lily. He'll retaliate. Nick declares they have to be all in. Chelsea sighs and agrees. Adam gets the go-ahead from Victor. Publish. Nick and Chelsea watch as Adam hits enter dramatically. Within seconds, every major news site has picked it up. Will Jill confront Kane? On the Kane train, Jill forces Jack to leave and warns Ashby about the little chat they're about to have. She explains that what Billy told her was bad enough, but Victor told her something outrageous. She confronts him about Colin scamming a woman to get the chateau. Kane repeatedly avoids answering her question, and she grits. Is it true, Kane? Why did he call Victor's bluff? Kane fumes that he won't be manipulated by anyone. Kane YNR Jill mocks him and wonders if that was directed at her. Kane says of course not. Jill reminds him that she's all he has right now. Kane laments the disaster that has been his big debut. It was easier living two lives than trying to make amends as Kane Ashby. Jill asks if he's even trying to do that. Circling back to Colin's fraud, Kane denies having any knowledge of it. Jill believes him. They agree the chateau business definitely sounds like him. As Kane swears on his children that he had no knowledge of the filthy money, Lily walks in, absolutely livid. Lily YNR Jill tries to calm the situation, but Lily learns that Kane knew Victor was going to put the story out and didn't do anything to stop him or warn the kids. She rants about him trying to convince her that Colin was a changed man. Kane protests. He had no part in it. Lily informs him that after the kids read this, they're going to see that he is his father's son. Kane vehemently defends himself, but she's done. This time, Maddie and Charlie will have her blessing to leave him behind. Kane blinks away tears as she stalks out. I can't fix this. It's impossible. Will Diane be blindsided? At Jabot, Diane asks about Jack's meeting with Kane. He wasn't able to talk him into handing over his digital hand grenade, but he was encouraged by Jill's arrival. His instincts tell him that things are going to go their way. Diane Jack YNR Jack insists Kane is at a crossroads. He knows now he went about everything the wrong way. Diane's skeptical, but Jack is certain he saw a chink in the armor. Even better, if Jill can get through to him, they won't have to work with Victor. Diane worries that the program will still be a threat. Jack plans to convince Jill to let him destroy it. Diane asks her husband if he'll destroy it. Jack replies, yeah, or use it on Victor and Newman Enterprises. Jack Diane YNR final scenes at Newman Media. Adam and Chelsea field calls about the Kane story before getting into it with Nick over his plan to leave for LA. Adam argues that Victor wants them there. Nick finds this ridiculous and wants to look after his own family. Sharon senses something is off with Noah and he needs to see for himself. Nick YNR at Crimson Lights. Phyllis and Daniel are still bickering when Lily storms in. Daniel asks if she's okay. She rants about the Kane story and Phyllis pulls her phone out to read it. She sarcastically thanks Phyllis for being one of the reasons why her ex-husband refuses to go away. They go over the chaos Kane has caused and Phyllis gets a call. Lily Phyllis Weiner on the Kane train. Jill tries to convince Ashby he can turn this all around. He protests at length, but she insists he can prove to his family that he loves them more than anything in the world. He must prove it in a way that cannot be denied. Kane Jill Weiner on Crimson Light's patio. Phyllis answers her phone and tells Kane, "I know, I saw it. Kane needs to see her right now, it's urgent." The calm before the emotional storm. Lily Winters had tried for days to keep her composure. She had been patient, kind, and forgiving, the same qualities that had always made her the moral anchor of those around her. But deep inside, something had changed. Her patience had reached its limit. The truth about Kane's actions, his lies, his hidden connections, his recklessness, had been eating away at her peace. Every word, every excuse he gave, only widened the chasm between them. Kane Ashby, the man she had once believed she could trust unconditionally, was now a stranger standing in front of her. The person she had built a life with had been replaced by someone she no longer recognized. As she stood in her office at Chancellor Winters, staring out the window at the city skyline, she replayed every broken promise in her mind. The betrayal wasn't just about deception. It was about how easily Kane had thrown away everything they had built together. Devon had noticed her distance. Billy had tried to reach out. Even Jill, always fiercely protective of her family, had called to check in. But Lily had brushed them off. She needed space, and she needed the strength to face the man who had broken her heart for the final time. Kane tries to fix what's already broken. Kane, on the other hand, was desperate. He had always believed he could talk his way out of any situation, that if he just said the right words, Lily would forgive him one more time. But this wasn't the same Lily. She had evolved, grown stronger, and learned to draw boundaries. When Kane walked into her office, bouquet in hand and an expression of remorse written across his face, Lily didn't even turn around. "Don't," she said coldly. "Don't say you're sorry. Not this time." Kane froze, his voice faltering. "Lily, please, you don't understand. I made mistakes, but everything I did was for us," she snapped, turning around. Her eyes burned with fury and pain. "That line doesn't work anymore, Kane. Every time you say that, it means nothing. You weren't doing this for us, you were doing it for you." He tried to explain, to justify his actions involving the latest business deal that had spiraled out of control, the one that had cost her reputation at the company. But Lily wasn't having it. She had stood by him through too many scandals, too many lies, too many last chances. This was the end. "I've defended you when everyone else told me not to. I believed in you when no one else did. And you know what it's cost me? My peace of mind. My integrity. My trust." Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes stayed firm. "You've taken every ounce of love I had for you and turned it into pain." Kane's eyes filled with tears as he reached out. "Lily, please. Don't do this. I love you." But Lily stepped back. "You love control, Kane. You love the idea of me, the woman who always forgives you. But that woman's gone. You broke her." Her words cut through him deeper than any accusation could. The silence that followed was deafening, a moment of realization that no apology could repair what he had destroyed. The final goodbye. Lily gathered her things quietly, slipping her tablet and planner into her bag. Her voice softened, but her tone was final. "I need to let go of this, Kane. Of us. I can't keep patching up something that was never built to last." He reached for her hand one last time, but she pulled away. "Goodbye, Kane." When she walked out of the room, the sound of the door closing felt like the ending of a long, painful chapter. Kane stood there motionless, the flowers still in his hands, petals trembling as he dropped them onto the desk. The tears came slowly at first, then in waves. He knew he had lost her for good. For Lily, walking out wasn't easy. Her hands shook as she stepped into the elevator, but she knew she had done the right thing. The moment the doors closed, she exhaled deeply. For the first time in a long time, she felt free. Meanwhile, at the Abbott mansion, a scheme is born. While Lily was taking back her power, another storm was brewing across town. At the Abbott estate, Jack Abbott sat at his desk, frustration clouding his thoughts. The family business had been under threat again, not from external enemies this time, but from whispers within. And Diane, ever the strategist, had an idea. Jack and Diane had become a complicated duo. Once enemies, now lovers, and sometimes co-conspirators. Their love story had always been defined by a dangerous balance between devotion and manipulation. Today, the manipulative side was taking over. Diane entered the room with a confident stride, holding a folder thick with documents. "I've been thinking," she began smoothly. "If we really want to protect Chabot, we can't keep playing nice." Jack looked up warily. "Diane, we've talked about this. I don't want to go down that road again. It always ends badly." She smirked. "Maybe. But this isn't about revenge, Jack. It's about survival. Tucker is circling like a vulture. And Phyllis, God knows what she's planning next. We can't afford to wait for the next attack." Jack sighed, rubbing his temple. "And what exactly are you suggesting?" Her smile widened slightly, revealing that familiar spark of danger. "A little misdirection. A few well-placed rumors. Let Tucker and Phyllis turn on each other. While they're distracted, we solidify our control, quietly." Jack hesitated. He wanted to believe that honesty and fairness could win the day, but in Genoa City, those ideals rarely survived reality. He looked at Diane, the woman who had lied to him, betrayed him, and yet somehow earned back his trust. "And if this backfires? Then we improvise," she said simply. "Like we always do." The plan takes shape. Over glasses of scotch, they began outlining their strategy. Diane would contact a few friends in the corporate world, people who owed her favors. They'd start spreading subtle rumors that Tucker McCall was planning to sell off part of his holdings. Meanwhile, Jack would arrange a leak, suggesting Phyllis had insider information that could expose Tucker's shady dealings. The beauty of the plan was its simplicity. Saw enough chaos that both Tucker and Phyllis would focus on each other instead of the Abbotts. Diane's eyes gleamed as she leaned closer. "When they're too busy fighting each other, Chabot will be untouchable." Jack looked at her, part admiration, part fear. "You know, sometimes I forget just how dangerous you can be." She smiled. "Only when I have to be." But deep down, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this plan, like so many before it, could spiral out of control. Lily's next step. Elsewhere, Lily tried to refocus her energy on work, but memories of Kane kept flashing in her mind. She returned to Chancellor Winters determined to pour her pain into purpose. Devon noticed her quiet strength and offered a supportive smile. "I heard about Kane," he said gently. "You okay?" "I will be," she replied, her tone steady. "This time I'm not breaking. I'm rebuilding." Her words carried the quiet power of someone reclaiming her story. Devon nodded proudly. "That's the Lily I know." Still, late that night, when the office was empty and the city lights flickered outside, Lily allowed herself to feel the weight of everything she'd lost. But instead of tears, she felt resolve. She was finally free from a cycle of heartbreak, ready to start a new chapter, one defined by strength, clarity, and self-worth. Back at the Abbotts, a dangerous game begins. Jack and Diane's plan was already in motion. The rumors were spreading, and Tucker had started to feel the pressure. He called Phyllis, accusing her of betrayal, and she naturally threw the accusation right back at him. Within days, their alliance had crumbled. From the outside, everything seemed to be going exactly as Jack and Diane had planned. But Diane, ever the risk-taker, took things a step further. Without telling Jack, she arranged a secret meeting with one of Tucker's associates, a dangerous move that could expose everything. When Jack found out, he was furious. "You went behind my back again?" "It was a calculated risk," Diane argued. "I got the information we needed." Jack slammed his hand on the desk. "You don't get it, do you? Every time you do something like this, you gamble with everything. Our relationship, the company, our future." For a brief moment, the confident facade cracked. Diane's eyes softened. "I did it for us, Jack. I wanted to prove that I could protect what we've built." Jack sighed deeply, torn between anger and love. "That's exactly what scares me, Diane. You always think you're saving us, but sometimes you're the one putting us in danger." Two endings, one theme: strength through pain. By the week's end, Genoa City was buzzing with tension. Lily had officially ended things with Kane, and though the heartbreak was palpable, so was her newfound power. She wasn't the broken woman she once was. She was standing taller than ever. At the same time, Jack and Diane's machinations were beginning to bear fruit. Tucker and Phyllis were too busy tearing each other apart to notice that Jebo had regained its footing. But behind closed doors, Jack couldn't shake the fear that this victory would come at a cost. As the camera of Genoa City life zoomed out, 3 stories intertwined by the same truth emerged. Love and lies are 2 sides of the same coin, and when one shatters, the other always exacts a price. Epilogue: The Echo of Choices. Lily sat alone in her apartment that night, a glass of wine in hand. The city lights danced through the window, and for the first time in a long while, she smiled, not out of happiness, but peace. Meanwhile, across town, Kane stood by himself at the park, clutching the photo of their family. He whispered, "I'll always love you," but the wind carried his words away, unanswered. And in the Abbott mansion, Diane rested her head on Jack's shoulder, both of them staring into the fire. "Do you ever think," Jack murmured, "that maybe we've gone too far?" Diane's lips curved into a mysterious smile. "Too far is where the power lies." The flames flickered higher, casting long shadows across the room, a silent reminder that in Genoa City, peace is always temporary, and every secret comes with a price.